Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Kavwas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about the speaking off the cuff. If you are asked all of the sudden to speak about something, you may find it difficult and challenging. So you would think that how to start and what to say. Indeed, there is a way to deal that kind of situation and manage it in more better way. For that purpose, we have an amazing guest who will give us the best insights, suggestions, recommendation, and tips about all these things. So stay tuned because in amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Kavwas for arranging such enlightenment sessions, for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Kavwas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendations, and suggestions which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually as well as to contribute to the world in a positive way. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have an amazing person as guest. He is internationally known and recognized speaker, a multi-dynamic person with the great qualities, having wonderful experience in the speaking industry. He is a great human being and always ready to contribute to the world in a different positive way. So let me introduce him formally. He is a BA Sociology with Communication, Singapore University of Social Sciences, Advanced Certificate in Training and Assessment Institute of Adult Learning, Singapore, Advanced Certificate in Training and Assessment, Singapore, Tamil Translational, Reviewer at Toastmaster International USA, participation at Contest Champion Area, A6 Evaluation Contest 2009, Champion Area T3 Evaluation Contest 2019, English Champion Area T3 Table Topics and Humorous Contest 2020, English Second Area T3 International Speech Contest 2019, English First Runner-up the Division T Humorous Contest 2020, English Second Runner-up Division T Evaluation Contest 2019, English appointment held club president, the club coach, club sponsor, one of the Division S trainers 2012 to 2013, one of the Division U trainers 2020-2021. In addition to that, conducted more workshops in Singapore, Malaysia, Indonesia, India, Oman, Saudi Arabia, organized and emceed at events, judged at various Toastmaster clubs across the Asia accolades. President Distinguished Area D2 Area, the Governor 2002 to 3, the President of President Distinguished Club, Singapore Tamil Toastmaster 2005 to 6. President of President Distinguished Club, Narpani Tamil Toastmaster 2019 to 2020 and 2020 to 2021, grassroots leader since 2013, Vice Chairman Indian Activity Executive Community, the Shengsan Community Center Service 2017 at a global Tamil organization, the Mayor of Singapore coordinate giving exposure and showcasing the upcoming Star's YouTube channel, the Tamil with over 55 YouTube channels, English motivating thoughts over 100 videos by 30 January 2022. In addition to that, he participated in debates, forums, discussions across the globe, groomed and guided adults and youth to the participate in various local and overseas debate forums, conduct weekly weekend classes on Tamil lectures, successfully initiated, organized and completed a 12-hour table topics marathon, completed 60 days of the 90-day video challenge as of the 30th January 2022. Last but not the least, he is a wonderful speaker, trainer, professional, and above everything, a great human being. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Mr. Brahmakumar Balakrishnan. Welcome to the Calvas platform, and thank you very much once again, sir, for sparing your precious time for us.
Thank you, Dr. Haider Shah, for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge. As they say, an expert is one who knows more and more about less and less. Every day, I'm learning something new. And what I'm learning
Yes,
from others, I'm also trying to share with others. And at the same time, keeping it a lifelong learning journey. So
very
today,
nice,
I'm sharing.
wonderful. Your opening statement is so great, and today we are going to learn so many new things from you. So, over to you, sir. Thank you.
Every time in life, we think that we can be keeping quiet, but an occasion will come when your boss will come to you and say, the manager didn't turn up today. Can you do the presentation on his behalf? I need to go to an interview, but I can't make it today because of personal reasons. Can you take over? And at home, we sometimes have situations where we need to think on our feet. This is called speaking off the cuff. At Toastmasters International, one of the skills that we are taught is how to think on your feet, how to listen, how to formulate your ideas, and how to present them in such a way that you can convince your audience. Today, I am going to share with you some of the techniques, and also it's going to be a sort of not just a lecture, but sort of a practical exercise. The only thing is that I don't have Dr. Shah. I only have Dr. Shah here, except others. So some questions may be fired at him, but more for the most part, I'll be the one who will be answering the questions or the topics given. Next slide. First thing we need to understand is what is fear. Fear, according to Zig Ziglar, is false evidence appearing real. If you think about many things in life, what prevented us from doing it was fear. We had fear of swimming, fear of going to the military service, fear of going to school. Some people even have fear of getting married, sometimes even fear of becoming a parent. But the moment we are thrust into the situation where we become a parent, a scholar, a leader, we realize that actually it was all false. So, how do we overcome fear? Is to face everything and rise. Look, the letter face everything and rise also has the letters FEAR, which stands for fear. In short, it is actually a change in your mindset, a paradigm shift in the way you look at things. And that's how we need to progress in life. In every table topic is another word for speaking off the cuff or impromptu speaking. There are five elements. When you're given the topic, listen to the topic so that you understand what it is asking you. Next, confirm. If you are from another country, you may not understand the accent, so you can confirm it. Of course, you can't do that in a contest because you assume to know the topic. Then pause, perhaps the most 15 seconds, and then tell your story and end it. And this is not a soap opera. You just finish it. There's no part two, part three, and so on. These are the basics. Dalai Lama once said that none of us is too small to make a difference because if you are thinking like that, try sleeping with a mosquito. None of us is inadequate in any way. We all have many years of education, personal experience, life experiences, knowledge gained from working with different people in diverse environments. All these add up to our experience. Therefore, when a topic is given, you can always attempt it. And to make it wonderful, there are always techniques which you can remember by heart. The first technique is known as Oreo. Remember the Oreo biscuit? Opinion, reason, example, opinion. It can also be looked from another angle: point, reason, example, point. Now, the difference between opinion is it's a topic where your opinion is sought, something like a thesis statement in academic circles. where you need to give your opinion on it. Whereas a point of view could be a point given by a scholar, someone else. It's slightly different. That's the only difference here. So this is the most common approach for every topic. And how does it work? Let us look at technology is a blessing. Technology is a blessing because it gives us the advantage of overcoming time. I have a rice cooker at home, a washing machine at home, a fridge at home. With all these electrical appliances, I save a lot of time. Quickly make the food, cook it, and go to work. And that's what most women will say. So this is how you can manage time because of technology. Technology is also a blessing because it is because of the advent of technological advances that today I'm in Singapore and Dr. Shah is in Pakistan, and yet we can communicate to one another as if we are sitting next to one another. This is another blessing of technology. So what you saw me doing was to give my opinion that is a blessing. Then the reason, then two examples, and then I come back to the opinion. This is prep, also known as Oreo. Let's look at another topic. Examinations should be abolished. First of all, I take the stand. I agree. Examinations should be abolished. What is the purpose of education? Is it for us to ensure that there are graduates who are very good at academic education? Or is it to ensure that you create a citizen who is contributing to the nation by enhancing his skills? Therefore, when we have examination, what are we doing? We are creating an artificial rat race, and that causes people to forget certain values such as cooperation, teamwork, coordination. You get people who like to backstab each other, people who are selfish, who don't wish to share knowledge. Is this what we want to achieve at the end of education? Creating citizens who are there but are so self centered and are not willing to help others. What will happen to a nation that has people or students of such quality? Therefore, I will recommend that examination should be abolished. This is point one. Point two, who gets into stress when there are examinations? It is never the students. It's most of the time the teachers and often or always the parents. We know of many examples of parents sending their children for different tuition classes, spending up to one third or even half of their salary on tuition fees. At the end of the day, what actually happens? Are they happy with the results? Many of them are not, because the son does not get or the daughter doesn't get 100 upon 100. Even 99 is not enough. Why is this created? It's because of examinations. It creates unnecessary stress. To alleviate this stress, let us work towards abolishing examinations. So that's point number two, right? Then point number three, I can again say the same thing and give examples of countries where examinations have been abolished. For example, in Singapore, they are removing the examination at the primary levels except at the primary six. And even at the primary six in the future, that could also be abolished. In Singapore, you have 6 years of primary education, followed by 4 to 5 years of secondary education, 2 years of pre university education, followed by 3 to 4 years of degree education. That is, of course, if you are a full time student, there's also an option to acquire a degree in 8 years. That's a summary of the education system in Singapore. So when you have examinations removed at certain levels, the stress is much less, and students become students of true education, where they have a holistic knowledge, not only academic, but other areas, arts, sciences. You have people who are studying because they want to acquire knowledge. And isn't that the objective of education, to provide knowledge to our citizens? So you can see how this topic has been approached. Next. This is Zoom. Zoom is when you look at a topic from far angle and then you zoom into it. For example, men should do more family duties. For example, in a home where the wife is also working, if the man does not contribute, how can the family function better, especially if they have children? If the men decide that when the wife goes to work, they take care of the children, look after the household duties of washing clothes, ironing clothes, cooking, wouldn't that be a better environment for the family, and the family can have a better and more happier life? So that's looking from the family point of view. Okay, now I'm actually doing it in reverse zoom. So let's say now I go to the next level, a nation. In a nation where men also contribute to family duties, the amount of time that women spend at work could be reduced, and women could be a more contributing factor to the economy. In small countries where there's already a shortage of man or woman power, it's all the more important that women are also given opportunity to serve in the nation in terms of employment. Therefore, it will be a great contribution. Now I got a bit one more level higher up. This is what I'm doing is actually is reverse zoom. Look at political situations in countries. In countries where women become the political leaders, either as the head of state or holding a portfolio in the parliament, how do they how are they able to function so well? It's because the men at home, their husbands, take on a more active role of looking after the family while they serve the nation. Don't you think that it is a blessing for us if more women come to the forefront of politics and serve the country as a whole, and if they move on to serve at international platforms? For example, if women are represented more at international forums where women's issues are brought and they are able to contribute their viewpoints, we can alleviate many of the problems of society, such as poverty, prostitution, diseases caused by pregnancy. All these issues can be addressed when we have the women's perspective. And the only way to have women's perspective is to have women in certain important portfolios. And for women to be in certain portfolios, men should take on more responsibilities at home. So this is what I meant by Zoom. But what I've done is actually a reverse Zoom where I start from the family, move on to the country, then I move on to an international platform. Again, on Zoom. There should be no bias against women. Now let me go into Zoom again. From now, actual Zoom. If you look at the international situation, do you feel that society as a whole throughout the world is controlled by men, for men, and most of the time the voice of women is not heard? Many of the things, if you look at social, political issues, or even economical issues, when we look at the history, when we read books in schools, they are all written by men. In sociology, we have a joke. Sociology was created by three men, four men, by men. And the three men they were looking at were Karl, Karl Marx, Durkheim, and Weber, these three men of sociology. So women actually came to the forefront and say, why is the women's viewpoint not shown? Why is even history actually means his story? History is actually his story. We don't hear of women in history. What has happened? There has been a biasness against women. What women have been doing behind the scenes at homes has not been reflected well. So this knowledge has been not shared with the world. Therefore, there's women's movement going on. And today we know that in every country there's a strong movement against biasness against women. A movement coming forward to say that women should be given equal opportunities, equal rights, if equal voice at international platform. If you move on to countries specifically, when we look at certain examples of countries, they are asking, why can't women be drivers? Why can't we have women as doctors? Why is it that always the nurses are the females but not the men? Or why is it that always the doctors are male and not the women? Is there this biasness? Even working women are asking, why is my salary less than the men? Why are we not get equal salary as them? And some women even go one step further and saying, why aren't housewives getting a salary. We are also working, and we are like accidents. We have no holidays. We have no holidays and we have no salary, but we have to work as much harder as the men, and we don't get promoted. Unless, of course, you want to call motherhood a promotion. Therefore, you see this issue of biasness coming up everywhere. Even at home, when we buy toys, dolls of our girls, guns of our boys, when we ask our girls, our family members to go for a job, no, 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 you can't serve in the military, you can't be an engineer. Restrictions are put forth, and women feel biased. They say, I'm also as capable as my brother. I also have the knowledge. I also have studied this subject and mastered it. Why am not given the equal opportunity? So you can see from this topic, we start from international, national, and then we go into family situation, and we can even go, even zoom in somewhat to personal. If the speaker is willing to share personal issues, and you can go even zoom. So this is called zoom, where you look, come from a far angle, close up, close up, close up. Now, if you look at affordable healthcare again, you can talk about it from an international point of view and the national point of view and the local point of view. Local point of view will depend on each country. In some countries, they have a medical fund from your salary. A certain amount is taken and put into a fund just for you, which will help you in your olden age or golden ages, where you may not be as healthy or wealthy to have the means to afford your healthcare. And this again is quite sensitive because different countries have different concepts. In some countries, they believe that the government should not be subsidizing healthcare 100%. Other countries, they feel that it is okay to give opportunities for healthcare if they come from poor families. Then, of course, the issue will come in as to why is it that only the poor are taken care about? Are we creating a situation of people becoming lazy, wanting to stay at home so that they get all the benefits, while those who are hardworking have to toil hard, but they don't get any benefit? So you can see there's a lot of areas we can explore on a simple topic like affordable healthcare. As we go into countries examples, it gets more interesting. Like what happened when President Obama was there and he wanted to introduce Obamacare. There was a lot of opposition to it. That's one of the issues that we can bring forward. Next, another technique I want to share with you is nothing new for us, it's storytelling. From the time we are young, we are always told stories, Aesop's stories, Aesop's fables, stories from the Mahabharata, Ramayana, Arabian Nights. Every culture, every nation has stories. Now, how does this translate into a current work situation? In every story, it needs to be creative. There needs to be content, there needs to be an element of history and how there's change over time. Emotions are involved, and always there's a moral at the end, which could be a communication message. If you take this story, we know this famous story of the hare and the tortoise, or the rabbit and the turtle, whichever you want to call it. But what we know is that both of them wanted to go for a race. The turtle won because after a while the hare thought that it can take a nap because the tortoise is extremely slow, but it overslept and the tortoise won. The story does not end there. It goes on. 1 week later, the rabbit comes to the tortoise and says, let's go for another race. This time he was awake and he won. But the story doesn't end there. The turtle comes back to the tortoise and the turtle comes back to the rabbit and says, let's go for another race, but this time it's a swimming competition. The rabbit was very happy, but he forgot that he cannot swim as well as the turtle. And so he lost. The story doesn't end there. The two of them come together and they said, why can't we have a win-win situation if we cooperate? And it happens that there was a biathlon, a race, a running race, and a swimming race, swimming competition. So when it was the turn for the running race, the tortoise was carried by the rabbit and they won. When it was the swimming race, the swimming competition, the rabbit sat on top of the turtle and they won. How do we translate this story into a corporate situation? This is a perfect story for teamwork, cooperation, collaboration, of achieving a win win situation by leveraging on the strengths of individuals. In this case, the rabbit and the tortoise have two different strengths. And you see how an ancient fable is brought to a modern situation, and we can make it into a tale for a corporate environment. That's storytelling, and in a nutshell, it brings forth the concept of teamwork and unity. And let's look at success. How can we bring a story for success? I can bring the story of individuals like Thomas Alva Edison, how many times he tried but couldn't discover the light bulb. But some people will say this is a tale that has been told so many times, it's so boring. What about something new? Why don't we take the example of Malala Yousaf? Her fight for education for women did not stop after the Taliban shot her in the head. It continues. She emigrated, and today she's a TED Talk speaker on women's issue, collecting lots of donations and creating lots of opportunities for women to be educated. So we can bring her life story into it and say about that. And there's also another interesting story that some of you may know, may not know. There's a story of a man who was told that there is a pot of gold or golden treasure in his farm by his father before he passed away. And so he started digging and digging for 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 9 days, 10 days. On the ninth day, he felt very uncomfortable. He said, am I going somewhere? He had what is known as writer's doldrums, meaning a loss of direction, a loss of purpose. And he stopped on the 10th day. Now, he had a son. The son saw a big hole in the farm and wondering, somebody must have been digging here. What are they digging for? And he continued to dig on the 11th day and found the pot of gold. Now imagine if the son had not discovered but someone else. Would have happened to that pot of gold or the family treasure? Would have gone to another family. Therefore, success is not immediate. It takes a lot of effort. Continuously, you need to keep on going till you reach your destination. And this story tells us in a nutshell that never ever give up. Continue till you reach your goal. You can see our story explains the concept of success. And as all of us are children at heart, no matter what our age, stories are very powerful. Story of the unity I already explained earlier with the rabbit and the tortoise, or the hare and the turtle. Resilience. For this, we have so many COVID-19 stories, right? How when the COVID-19 engulfed us, made us stay at home, when we had that lockdown, how human race came together collectively and individually to overcome it. We know that this is a situation that will not change overnight. This is something beyond our control. But nations came together to cooperate, to help one another. Some countries sent vaccines to other countries. Some countries offered free vaccine to their own people. And if you look at human stories, many people look at this opportunity to connect with people across the globe in other countries. Many of the celebrities or famous speakers, they offered their services for free. Isn't this the blessing of COVID-19? What it actually shows is the resilience of the human race. At a time when we thought that we were all locked down and that's the end of human creativity, you have so many people coming up with TikTok, YouTube videos. There was a collaboration of photographers across many nations who took photos of events in their own country and shared it with others. It was very beautiful. Suddenly, you saw a world that did not have humans, and you could see nature at its best. The story of resilience continues. The next technique is known as the pendulum. The pendulum, as we know, it revolves, it moves right, left, right, left, right, left. When you're given a topic, if you want to speak more, the best way is to talk on both sides. Let me give you an example here. This is something that more familiar with those in the countries north next to India, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, where imagine you bought a sari, might the sari an equivalent in your country could be something else. You bought something for your spouse and your mother, and women being women, they will ask you the important question: How do I look in this? How do we handle this? The best way is that tell your wife, when you're walking towards me, it's nice. And it's your mother, you can say, when you're walking away from me, it looks nice. Now imagine this the other way, mother and mother-in-law, then it gets more tricky, right? So you can say, when my mother walks towards me, nice. When my mother-in-law walks away from me, it's nice. What will the psychological effect be? Your mother will be visiting you more often. Your mother-in-law will be off visiting you not so often. So there is a slight difference. Now, if we put another situation here, I didn't put it here, but imagine you're going on a ship and your mother is there and your wife is there. The ship or the boat capsizes. How do you handle that? This was a question that was given to me in 2001. It's very, very tricky question. Fortunately, I was able to answer it in a way that was good. So I said, how many mothers can you get? There's only one mother. She will be there at your good times, at your bad times, at your sad times. She has been there all this time. If you save her, the world will praise you, provided my mother is seated here. If instead my wife is seated here, or my future wife, I'll say, how long can the mother be with you? There will be a certain moment in your life that she will no longer be there because she's too old and she's also gone to heaven. Then it's the wife that takes over the role of the mother and she will be with you till the end of your last days. I will say that if my wife is seated there. And that's when the person who asked the question made it even more tricky. What if both of them are seated there? And I said, if I save my mother, they will curse me. What kind of a husband are you? If I save my wife, that's even worse. They'll say, what an ungrateful son you are. What if I do this? I don't save anybody. All of us will end up either up or down. Either way, one of them will be there. And that's okay for me. So that's how I handled it. So you can see that actually in the pendulum, using the pendulum as a model, I'm speaking on one aspect and then moving to the opposite. And then I come to a middle ground. That is how a pendulum works. Always explore both sides of the topic and then come to a middle point. For those of us who are students of in the academic field, whenever a thesis statement comes and you find that you can't write a lot, this is a good technique. Explore both sides of the equation, and then if you can, come to a middle ground. Then you're being neutral. Unless, of course, it asks for your personal opinion. Then you have to make a stand, and you have to make sure that your stance is supported by facts, figures, and evidence. Sometimes it's empirical evidence, observable evidence. So for example, this topic, men are a dying species. There are two ways of looking at it. First, as looking at the male species. If you look at the lifespan of a man, and compare it to that of a woman, statistics will show that women live longer than men in terms of age. Why is it so? Look at all the violent activities that occur: bullfighting, war. Who engages in them? Most of the time, men. That's why their life is short. And some of the habits, such as smoking, drinking, or drug abuse, is higher in men. There's a higher adoption by men, and that's why they are again knocked off. Statistics also show that when there's a suicide and you look at it, more men commit suicide than women. So that's why men are a dying species. Now, let's say I say it the other way: men are not a dying species. How can the human race continue if there are no men? How can women have children? You may say that nowadays there are scientific advances and you don't really need a man. There are many ways of having a child. But is giving birth to the child the only way to bring up a child? Definitely, you need the male to be there in a family to inculcate values of bravery, resilience, courage, masculinity. These are qualities that are more evident and visible in men. Not that women don't have it, but this is when you say I'm a man and I can do this versus I'm a woman, I can do this. There is a difference. Children see the difference. That is why a child can always go to the mother and lie, and the mother will still forgive. My child is perfect. But a father is different. A father is always there to scold, to reprimand, to correct, because that is a very important role. Disciplining a child, it comes very easily to men. In the military, we are disciplined to follow rules and regulation, to be strict, and these habits become part of our life. These are values that come from men. Therefore, men are not a dying species. The masculine quality is always there. So again, you can see I can come to two different viewpoints, right? Now let's look at it from another point of view, another take on the same topic. Men. When I look at the word man, I look at the human. Human are not a dying disease. Look at the ability of the human race advance itself. Once upon a time, we were creatures just like others, afraid of the dark, afraid of larger creatures hiding in the caves. But over time, we discovered fire. With fire, just like with power, with great power comes great responsibility. We were able to control our environment. We could live in the hottest climate, the coldest climate, the wettest climate, driest climate. Man have discovered scientific advances so much that he can go to the deepest trenches of the Mariana Trench, the deepest trench in the ocean, and discover. He can go to Mount Everest and make discoveries. He can go to outer space and discover new planets. This is something that the other race has not done. Now, this is the positive sides of the human race. The negative sides of the human race is that which animal except the human has destroyed so much of the environment for himself or herself? We have become selfish beings who make use of everything around us: plants, animals, you name it, we have taken advantage of it. How many species of animals have been decimated? How many species of plants have been decimated? Even if you look at mankind, different races, certain races are being decimated by us. We have become a selfish organism. And if we think about it, can we last forever? Dinosaurs were the largest creatures that lived on the planet Earth, but they died suddenly. The same could happen to us. In fact, if you think about it very seriously from a scientific point of view, cockroaches may last or outlast man over time because they are able to survive in the hottest and the coldest climate, and they have been living even longer than man according to statistics. So you can see in this same topic, I have two different perspective, and they are used the pendulum. So I, at the end, what I need to do is come to a middle point to say that, whether man is replaced by another creature or man will continue will depend across future leaders of the world, how they want to protect our planet from further destruction. And certain efforts are being taken to make sure that Mother Earth is not torn apart by her own children. Right? So this is the pendulum. Again, when we look at pendulum, if you look at the subject of education or wealth, I share all the positive qualities of education. On the other hand, I share the positive qualities of wealth, and then I come to a conclusion. You cannot live life without education, especially in the current era where the digital divide is the greatest divide. Countries that have not mastered or been up to speed with technological advances are going to be a greater disadvantage. Therefore, education is of great importance. On the other hand, you need money. Without money, many things cannot be achieved. Not only your health, but even education can only be acquired by money. Yes, we can always subsidize and give bursaries or sponsorship to the poor, but where does the money come from? Ultimately, it comes from the citizen. Every one of us are in some way or other contributing to others, both are important in society, education and wealth. You cannot have one without the other. It's like a one-eyed man if you have just one of them. So this is how again I use the pendulum to balance both topics with my viewpoint. Again, this is another topic, but I shall not go too much into this, except that the current situation where a larger country has attacked a smaller country has made certain countries that were neutral to rethink whether they should have a military force, whether they should also build up their military might, because there's a fear as a reason that without having a strong military force, you can be attacked by a nation that has more military power or larger than you in terms of military manpower and might. So again, I can use this pendulum to say and go on, and also say that on the other hand, are we ignoring the importance of speaking and communicating and addressing to people the importance of having peace? That it is not war that is going to solve problems. An eye for an eye will only make everyone blind. The words of Gandhi still remains in our hearts. Have we lost people who have the ability to communicate with others on the importance of peace because we think that military might is the only way, the only solution to peace? So these are some rhetorical questions that I can ask the audience and make them ponder over. Table topics need not be an opportunity for us just to come with answers. We can also give questions and make the audience ponder. Another way, another technique is known as compare and contrast. If I go into this, let's take two fruits, the apple and the orange. Apple has a soft skin, orange has thick skin. Apple needs to be sliced, oranges, when you open it, is already sliced. Apples are grown in certain parts of the world, orange in different parts of the world. So there are similarities also. They are both fruits, good for the body and all that. In the same way, when we compare and contrast, we bring out similarities and differences and come to a conclusion. Fast food. What is the advantage of fast food? You don't have to cook food. It's already cooked. It's in a very healthy environment, cooked in a healthy environment. You can save a lot of money and time by just eating there and going back to work and so forth. So that's the advantage of fast food. Home cooked food, that's where when we cook, we don't just cook for the sake of cooking, but we take into consideration the needs of different individuals. For the elderly, you have to cut down on salt, sugar, sometimes meat also. For the young children, because they may not have teeth at all, you have to look at exploring and cooking soups, liquids. A child in your family may like meat, chicken, another may like fish. So you cater to the different desires or appetite. In the fast food is one meal fits all. Only difference is that this one has chicken, this one is that, but they're all McDonald's hamburgers, same formula, and it's all preset. Lots of chemicals are used, which can be detrimental to our body. Chemicals such as Ajinomoto, are they good for us? They are not. That addiction to sugar coated drinks, 7 Up, Pepsi Cola, Coca Cola, Fanta. Once you get addicted, you don't drink mango juice, coconut water. You think that these are not good for your body, but actually, the second mango juice, coconut water, all these are good for our body, even sugarcane. So what we end up is we come to a mass production of food and we accept it as part and parcel of our life, ignoring the importance of herbal food, herbs that are put into our home cooked meals, nutrients, and the traditional forms of cooking. They all serve certain purpose. Why is chapati cooked in a certain way and naan? Why is it different from thosai? There are reasons. So these reasons, when we explore and we look into the history and the science of it, we realize that our ancestors were actually wise. Fast food, if we think about it, it's all commercialization. And some people even call it the McDonaldization of the world, where certain countries or certain organizations that have influence across the globe can control what we want to eat and they decide our diet, which is very often not good for us. We could be ending up eating food that's actually harmful to us without realizing it. If you look at the statistics, in many countries, obesity, meaning being fatter than what you should be, has become a national problem. And once you become a slave to food, it's hard to go on a diet. In fact, today they say that once upon a time we took medicine with food. Now it's the other way. We take medicine as food. Medicine has become part of our food. In many societies, we see this happening, and that's because of our addiction to fast food. So when I compare, I am making a very strong stand about one of the issues here. So this is compare and contrast. Let us look at another example. So, like I said, it's a comparison between similarities and differences. So, apple and orange I gave earlier. Better to be a follower than a leader. Again, we have to look at the qualities of a follower and a leader. Can anyone become a leader overnight? Maybe there are some, but they are far in between. Most of us have to be a follower. We have to learn the ropes of the trade, so to speak, by following someone who's a role model in society. We learn the qualities of a leader, and only then we can be a leader. We need to learn before can we can become the experts. It's like everything that we do in life, learning a new language, becoming a lecturer. Therefore, I would say it's better to be a follower. Then, on the other hand, the other person will say, if all of us are followers, then who's going to lead? If all of us want to sit on the taxi, then who's going to drive it? That's where the leader is important. A leader is the one who knows the way and shows the way. And we have to choose a time when we need to lead. If we want to just follow others, we could be following blindly. And as you know, what will happen when the blind lead the blind? It will be disaster. But if you want to lead, then certain qualities come out from you. Initiative, the ability to empower others. John Maxwell has 5 levels of leadership, and he says how each level of leadership makes us a better leader. The first and second levels has to do with position and authority. The last level is when you are the leader who has done so much for the organization that follow me is all you have to say and they will follow you. And we see that happening in situations. Look at great leaders like Muhammad Ali Jinnah in Pakistan, Mahatma Gandhi in India, Nelson Mandela in South Africa. Their ability to connect with citizens of diverse environments is amazing. And why are people following? Why were they following him? Because they have that charisma, that extra quality where everyone feels that if I follow this leader, my life will be better. That's what we need in this field. We need people who can lead others. There is a famous quotation in the Bible that the lost sheep, about the lost sheep and Jesus Christ being the shepherd. In this instance, we can apply it to leadership, where the leader is actually the shepherd that is making sure that the sheep don't lose their way. In every country, we need leaders, whether it's in the school or a community organization or in the political situations. And leaders have a lot of responsibility because in the international arena, you can be bullied by a large nation, but a strong leader will make firm decisions and have their stand. The non alignment movement in Asia was one where Asian leaders told the West that there are certain things that we do not agree with what you're doing and we want it set right. Therefore, leadership is not a simple thing as being the leader overnight. It's more than that. You have to ensure that followers are there. It's almost like having a list of Facebook followers. As long as you are there and they want you and they feel that you're important, you have followers. The moment you are not aligned with them, you are no longer their leader. That's anyone can be a follower, but not anyone can be a leader. Only some can lead, can show the way, and lead the way. The next question is about compare and contrast. It's about a big fish in a small pond or a small fish in a big pond. In Singapore, there are two kinds of schools to make it in a broad aspect. Schools that are known as neighborhood schools, schools that are elite schools. When the time came for my son to choose a school, there was a question that the teacher asked: would you want your son to be in a school that is in your neighborhood, where because of his ability he will always be the big fish there? Or would you want your son to be in an elite school where he will may not be the big fish but a small fish? This is the choice that many parents have to do, and many of us also. When we join an organization, do we want to be the big fish there or do we want to be a small fish there? Depending on what we want, we choose the correct pond. Sometimes, if you're in an area where there are a lot of stars, you cannot outshine the stars. But if you're in a place where there are not many stars, you can be the star. If you look at the film world, if a movie happens when all the Bollywood, the superstar of Bollywood, the superstar of the Hollywood, Tollywood, China superstar, Hollywood superstar, they all act in one movie. What would you see? Great competition among them, which is why they don't want to move from their pond to another pond because they know it's going to be very tough for them to outshine the others. Therefore, when we make decisions in life, sometimes we must ask ourselves, I'm joining this company. Am I joining there for the name? So that when I mention the name of the company, even if I'm just officer at the lower rung of the corporate ladder, there's a certain prestige and recognition for me. Or should I be in a company where I'm a leader there in a management, top management level, and that itself gives me great respect and recognition? These are decisions that we have to make, and this is what this topic is asking us to look at. Again, this is another topic, but I shall not explore this. This is another topic where we compare and contrast. The coffin It's a technique used to connect concept to an inanimate item, complex concepts. I've made the topic long, but if I make it short, let's say I said love, and you want to talk about love, but you want to connect it to something, one item to show what is love. So I connect it to love is like a handphone. Why? Keeping your handphone at hand's length is good for you, just like love. Knowing when to silence your handphone is important, just like love. We always have our handphone with us 24 hours, 27 daily. We always need to have our love or lover with us 24/7. One day of neglect and you can lose. It's always work in progress. Love is like a handphone also because of the many colors, many kind of love that you can show. The love that you show to your wife is different from the love you show to your mother, and the love that you show to your daughter, the love that you show to your friend is different to the love that you show to your employee, your superior, your subordinate. The love that you show to your pet is different from the love that you show to your child. The love that we have for ourselves different from the love that we show towards God. There are so many facets, and that's why there are so many brands of handphones. They are brands of love. For what anyone needs, for each his own. Whatever you desire, there are so many kind of handphones. Similarly, there's so many kind of love. Some of us think that we can receive, that we can reach God by love, like prayers, some through meditation, some through yogic exercises, some through intellectual knowledge. These are many parts to love. And that's why we also have smartphone and not so smartphones, the iPhone, the Samsung, and so forth. They are also different ways of approaching love, just like I explained to you. So you can see the main idea. I compare a concept, and because I want to put it in the mind of others, I connect it with a familiar thing, which is an inanimate thing, which is the handphone. Life is like a bicycle. I want to explain life, but it's too complex for me, so philosophical. How do I bring it down to earth? Bicycle. When you are learning to ride a bicycle, many a times you will fall down and hurt yourself, but you get up and continue. Life is like that. There's always ups and downs. There's always uphills and downhills. There's also rocks along the way. Sometimes your bicycle will puncture. You have been obstacle put forth. Go sit down, take your time to repair it, be patient, and move on. Life is also like that. Life is also like a bicycle in the sense that it brings you to a journey, and that journey is wonderful. The longer you are on the journey, the longer your ride is, you will see many, many different terrain, many aspects of nature. You come across different people. It's same. Life is also like that. You come across some different individuals, those who are completely different from you in the way they look at life, and those who are very clear about where they want to go in life. So life, in short, is like a bicycle. Again, you can see complex idea of life. I've connected with a bicycle so that is palatable for someone probably who is young and does not have much experience in life. Karma is a boomerang. Karma is cause and effect. Everything that you do will create an effect. When you throw a stone into the river, it causes ripples. That ripple is called karma. What do we mean by boomerang is that when you throw the boomerang, it will come back to you. The same way, whatever good we do to others will come back to us. Not necessarily to us, it can come back to our children and our grandchildren. Whatever bad we do, it will also come to us and our children. When criminals perform crimes that are very major, killing someone, destroying the life of another person, what happens to their family when they go to prison. The family is the one that gets the greater punishment, embarrassment, isolated from society, and the having that bad name, that reputation. You are the son or child of a prisoner. That can have very lifelong ill effects on them, even though they were not responsible for that. So that is karma. On the other hand, we may think that whatever we do does not come back to us and may feel very disappointed in life. I've done so many good for so many people, but in the end, people are doing bad things to me and life is not kind to me and all that. But we do not know what will happen tomorrow. There's this famous story of this man who was looking for someone who helped his family. So it was in an area in India where he's going on the rickshaw, sorry, on the trishaw. So I was saying, I'm looking for this person, and he narrated the whole story of this man, how that family helped him, his grandfather, his parents, and now he's going to see that family to sort of thank them. When he got down at the house and he turned back, the rickshaw driver was not around. And he was very puzzled. Why is he not around? And then the neighbor across came and said, Sir, that person that drove you here was the grandchild of this owner. The owner has passed away long ago. Today, unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, this person is no longer having the wealthy life that his ancestors had. He's living a poor life. And then the writer ends it with a saying, saying that, power of karma, saying that because his grandparent helped this family and therefore they were in a position of helping the other family, to him even asking for a few rupees from that man for the ride or the transport is not acceptable because they are a family that was giving to them. So the value of karma comes in, and they say that, if you're born in a noble family, you are always noble. That trait follows you generation after generation. So that is the effect of karma. Why we always tell people, do good, don't do bad, is because of this. That when you do good, it not only benefits you, but generations after you, because you will be remembered for what you've done in society. And that is the greatest thing in life. It's even more important than titles, awards, and any other recognition. Now, look at another topic. Again, I'm comparing childhood with something that is visible, ice cream. Childhood is like ice cream. You love to enjoy that moment. It's that moment in your time that you are one with yourself and you enjoy it. On the other hand, like an ice cream, childhood also melts away quickly. Just before you blink your eye, it's gone. And you're no longer a child. We become adults. We stop enjoying life. In the short, we have lost our childhood. Why can't we all start enjoying childhood like taking an ice cream, looking at life at the way a child look at the world, and you realize that it's not a big deal. Today, what bad happens to you, or what sad thing happened to you, forget it the next day. A child is always like a fresh flower every day. The next day, they forget what you did yesterday. You could have scolded them, they could have cried. They are again positive, full of energy, full of cheerfulness. If every day we look at life like a child, then we are also enjoying the ice cream of life. You can say again how I compare two concepts together by using an inanimate object. The next technique I'm sharing with you is known as eyes of experts. For most of us, this is something we new, but we may not be following. When we look at experts, we look at experts in psychology, sociology, education, politics, economics. Let me just give you a simplest example, the color green. Dr. Shah, do you think people will be stumped if I give a simple topic like that? There are actually people who are stumped. But if they look at it from a scientific point of view, the color green is so important in nature. Chlorophyll, you need to have chlorophyll because it's a green color for plants. And plants that don't have green cannot produce chlorophyll. And therefore, they cannot trap the sun's rays and convert to oxygen. They become parasites. That's how nature. So this is from a scientific point of view. From a military point of view, in the army, the color green is used because it's a color that can be easily disguised in nature because when you go into the forest, it's green. Green is also an important color in certain religions, such as Islam, where it is said that the Prophet was given a green coat, correct me if I'm wrong, by the angel Gabriel. So that is why the color green is so important in nature. And sociologists will tell you that if you are visiting a Muslim on an important occasion and you wear green, you will be seen differently from the others. The colors are very important in many, many societies. So, in short, I've shared with you three different ways of looking at the color green from a point of a religion, from a point of sociology, from a point of science. Therefore, this is how we can work on it. The simple idea. Green is also means someone who is innocent, still green, and there's also the meaning of green with envy. So a simple word has so many connotations. Now let's go to something more complex. Zero. For a mathematician, the number zero is very important because when you put 0 to 1, it becomes 10. When you put two zeros next to 1, it becomes 1000. The placement of zeros is very important in a bank. Suppose you left out 1 0 on a check, how much money have you lost? Looking at zero. Some of us are heroes at home, but zeros outside. Some of us are zeros at home, but heroes outside. Many wives will say, we know, right? Now, looking at zero also, if you ask someone, which number would you want to be? They say, I want to be number one. I want to be the first. The first is always the best. But in a Shakespearean play, Shakespeare says that he wants to be a zero. When asked why, he says, a zero by itself has no value, but when it is placed next to someone, it enhances the value of the other person. So, if I'm a backstage technician of a play or a movie, I'm actually zero. The audience does not see me, but I play such an important role because without the technicians, no drama, no movie can be a great success. So zeros are the unsung heroes. And without unsung heroes, can any society thrive? Look at the unsung heroes in society or the zeros of society. The cleaners, the road sweepers, those who clear the sewerage. If they are not around, what will happen to our society? Sometimes you can even think of women, housewives as zeros, unsung heroes again. If all the housewives decide one day to go on a strike, where are we going to get our food? Even the fast food center does not have so many workers to take care of us. Therefore, don't look at zero as just a zero. It's more than that. So you can see how I give different perspectives. This is known as the eyes of experts. When you look at something from various viewpoints, like just like an expert does. Space. To an artist, space is very important. When they create their art forms, how they put the colors and give the space makes a lot of meaning. Some of us are interested in outer space. We want to know what is the nearest galaxy. And that is what astronomers and astrologers are looking at. Then there are those who are looking at inner space, the yogis, the Sufis, the meditators, the Zen, the followers of Zen meditation, and so on. For them, the degree of the inner self is more greater than that of the outer self. Then there are those who want to scale the Himalayas. They want to conquer that and be at the top of the summit as a personal achievement. Then there are those who want to go to the deepest ocean and discover what is underneath. Space depends on what. Today, due to COVID 19, we have social distancing. There needs to be a space between us. But if you look at it, in ancient times, we had a social distance space between individuals. In certain society, a distance is always mentioned because for certain reasons. A man and a woman should have a distance to have that self-respect. We see it in the social distancing space being happen because if you're too close, the chances of getting a disease is higher. So space, my friends, can be interpreted in many ways. Again, I'm using the eye of experts to look at the concept of space. Now, this is a concept that is very confusing for some. When you say the ox, all you can think of an animal that's there. They say that the ox is one of those animals, even if it rains or shines, just be there, consuming the greenery, all that. That is the simplest way of explaining an ox. But think out of the box. An ox may seem an insignificant thing to you, but if I put the letter B in front of it, it becomes a box. The letter F in front of it, it becomes a fox. If you turn it the other way, Exco is actually a liquor, and this liquor is actually used in some of the cuisines by the Chinese. So next time when you look at an ox, look at it from a different angle, think out of the box. The next thing I want to share with you is about cause and effect. We all know that an apple fell on Isaac Newton's head and he discovered gravity. So once I asked, what would happen if a coconut had fallen on his head? They said he would have discovered Panadol because he would have had a severe headache. And what if a durian had fallen on his head? He would have discovered head helmets. The point I'm trying to share with you is about cause and effect. How does this technique of cause and effect happen? If World War II had not happened, so the cause is World War II. So had it not happened, I'm reversing it. It can also be had it happened, but in this case, I'm putting as had it not happened. Many countries would still be under a colonial power. Because of the Second World War, and especially because of Japan that conquered Asia, which was colonized, Asian countries became confident that they can also run their own country without the help of a foreign power. Therefore, the feeling of independence, of nationhood, became very strong after the Second World War. The Second World War also saw the evil effects of mass genocide, how Hitler destroyed or decimated a race. That made many countries come together and form the UNESCO, the organization, NATO, and also UNESCO. These organizations have come with certain rules, international rules, which has ensured that there has been peace from 1949 until now. There's no major world war. There could be battles between two nations, but it's not on a worldwide level. That was another effect of World War II. Countries also started to have their own identity. For example, many countries started to have their own language as the national official language of their nation instead of the official language that was imposed by the colonial powers. This is why certain languages such as Urdu, Indonesian, Malay, Filipino are still surviving because the nations decided to have an official language, and that ensured the continuity of their culture and the cultural heritage of their people. This is also caused by the Second World War. The Second World War unfortunately also caused some situations which cannot be resolved until today for like the Palestine. That was one nation that did not have a nation or a roof over its head that it can call its own country until now, and it's still going on. Second World War also saw the emergence of certain ideologies which until today have divided people. For example, North and South Korea. Two different ideologies, but they are actually one people. Same China and Taiwan. Two different political ideologies, but one nation of people, if you look at it as a form of a race. After the Second World War, and because after that there's been a long period of peace, we started to have international travel. We can only have international travel when there's no war. That is why we are able to visit other countries to enjoy their tourist offerings and also know about other cultures. The Second World War, I would also say, in a way, allowed people to understand and live with differences, that your neighbor need not be following your own religion, race, language, or even political system, but we can still be friends because we are all part of the human race. Therefore, the Second World War has many benefits that it has reaped. I'm only talking about the good things. There are also bad things, but in the interest of time, I will not cover that. If COVID-19 had not happened, we know of the ill effects of COVID-19, so I'll not talk about it. Let's look at the benefits. Many of us had the opportunity to learn new technology such as MS Teams, Skypes, WebEx. Plus, at the same time, one thing that I personally noticed, that the ability of humans to learn new skills and adapt. For many husbands, I would say, and males, they realize how much work their wives, mothers, sisters are doing at home. Because when you start working from home, then you realize how much they have been contributing and how you need to also come in and help them more. So these are the effects of COVID-19. The clock is another technique that is used where it talks about the past, present, and future. So history students will love this technique because they have a wealth of knowledge about the past, present, and also some idea about the future. Time determines the crime. Joan of Arc, Joan of Arc was considered a criminal in her times, but recently she was made a saint by the Pope. So what was one time a crime is no longer a crime. During the times when countries were fighting for independence, their political leaders were put in prison because they were considered as going against the government. Today, when we look back, we blame the colonial powers for imprisoning the leaders or the future founding fathers of our nations. So again, time determines the crime. We find that over time, some things are no longer a crime and some become a crime. In Singapore, abducting, or what you mean by that, is kidnapping someone, is a crime punishable by death. But it was not so in the past. But the advantage of this is that a series of crimes are immediately prevented. Because when a person is kidnapped and abducted, their whole life is gone. They could end up in the wrong company, in the wrong place, and their whole life is ruined. So when a government puts a firm stand on kidnapping or abduction, it stops a series of other related crimes, such as, you know, people, bringing people in, becoming them as drug abusers or drug mules or into prostitution and so forth. In some countries in the past, death sentence was there. Over time, they decided there should be no death sentence but life sentences. Again, as society progresses, what is considered a crime may no longer be a crime because the society has evolved over time. Next, fame is a passing cloud. We notice this often in the movie world. Today, he or she is a famous actor or actress. Tomorrow, forgotten. Yet, everyone looks after or goes after fame. Fame is there as long as you are there at the top only. It's not forever. As they say, past glory is no guarantee of future success. Past glory is no guarantee of future success. It's very few people who can be famous throughout your whole life. Even some famous people have gone into the bad books of people. Typical example, many, just to name one, Tiger Woods. Or the recent incident of Will Smith slapping the other actor. Today, he's not as popular as before. And there's even question about whether the actor Will Smith will get future opportunities to act in certain movies. Therefore, fame is not permanent. And if we think that we should hold on to fame, what will happen to us the day that we are not longer famous? We just become an ordinary person. So, realizing that fame is a passing cloud should let us know that we need to have a second career in hand in the instance you're no longer that famous anymore. How can we talk about food? In ancient times, when man was still living in the caves, he used to consume raw food until he discovered fire. When man discovered fire, he started to cook food. And then something else happened. Man also discovered that there's something called spices that were used to preserve food. And that was one of the reasons why the Western powers came to the East to discover the root of spices. And then man discovered the fridge. And today you can see food kept in fridge. If you look at Indian cuisine or even Middle Eastern cuisine, anything that has curry in it or spices in it, the longer it is kept in the fridge, the more tasty it is because the spice has soaked up the has been soaked into the food and is preserving the food and making it the taste better. Food is so evolves over time. Some food that we are not familiar with became our food. For example, coffee was not from our region, it was from another region, like Brazil. So it was imported to our nation, and now over time, it has become part and parcel of our food. Fast food was something that was not heard in the East or Asian countries until the Western countries brought it to us through McDonald's and other outlets. Pepsi Cola, 7 Up, all these are like that. So what was in the past can now become our food also. In the past, we may not know the importance of coconut oil, coconut water, and all that. But today, we are realizing the importance of coconut water and we are starting to put it or add it to our food. I've come to the end, and this is what the former President of India, APJ Abdul Kalam, a man whom I respect a lot, who've achieved a lot for the world, says that if you fail, never give up, because fail means first attempt in learning. If every time we attempt something and we find that we are not succeeding, just think it as a learning lesson. Every day is a day to learn something new. End is not the end because end means effort never dies. So there's no end. Effort never dies. Keep on putting in the effort. If you get no as an opportunity, I mean as an answer, if you get no as an answer, it means next opportunity. Today's no can become tomorrow's yes. point in everything is saying is never give up, carry on, and do your best.
Uh,
We lose
yes, sir.
connection. Did we
Yeah,
lose
sir. There
connection?
was some internet connection issue. There was some problem with the internet.
Okay. Anyway, I finished my my session
Yeah.
already.
Okay, nice, nice. Thank you very much for such a elaborative session, and I really love the way you started it from the fear, and then very nicely you have mentioned the different stories to it. Really, so much enjoyed the story of the turtle and the rabbit, and then you move on the different perspective of the particularly that how can you handle the same situation in a different way. The pendulum, that concept was so wonderful, that how can you have a balanced approach while you are moving towards one thing to another thing. And then very nicely you have given the wonderful explanation for everything of the food, the different perspectives. Really enjoyed your whole presentation, and thank you very much once again, because last time we had a great session with you, and this time we had a wonderful session with you. I think we have some internet issue. Can you, sir, quickly give your message to the world, please?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, very clearly we can hear you. But your camera is, I think, off.
It's actually turned on, but I don't know why.
Okay,
Uh,
okay. I think internet issue, but we can hear you. Please give a message to the world, please.
My my message is actually based on what I experienced. I've over 22 years been in the public speaking forum known as Toastmasters, and I'm always learning something new each day. My suggestion and request to everyone is that many of us may not be native speakers of the English language, but don't let it hold you back. We have a lot of knowledge and experience, and we should just continue. Every small droplet that you put into a bucket adds up. Every small effort that you put in adds up. At the world arena, we have world champions of public speaking. Many of them are not from native countries that speak English. They are non-native speakers. And we have an advantage because we have another language from which we can draw our source. Many famous people such as one Eric Tandok, who's in Canada, a Filipino living in Canada, has made it. And today is sought after in many countries to share his wealth of knowledge because more than the command of the English is your message to the world. If you are a person who's there to give your knowledge, you want to share and you want to help others genuinely from the depth of your heart, you're always welcome everywhere and language will never be a barrier. So my intention of sharing this table topic session is for you all to understand different techniques. There are many more techniques. Unfortunately, I can't cover all. I covered what I could and I've given a lot of examples. Learn them and use them in your personal life. Content wise, you will have it there. There are other areas such as delivery, which is non-verbal communication, which maybe in the future I might be given an opportunity to share. But if you have content, you are always welcome. Remember, it's empty vessels that make the most noise. Those that are full will not make so much noise, but they are valued a lot. A diamond and gold is always precious because of its value. It doesn't matter whether the diamond comes from the Middle East, Africa, Asia, or America. Diamond is always diamond, gold is always gold. And all of us within us have that diamond and gold. It's up to us to show it to others. Look for opportunities where you can share it. There are many people like Dr. Haider who are willing to give the opportunity for us to share our knowledge, and we should take such opportunities and share it with the world. Thank you, Dr. Haider.
Very nice message to the world. As last time you did a fantastic job, and this time you again have given a wonderful presentation, a powerful content, and really a great message to the world. So we strongly recommend to our audience that please follow our distinguished guest speaker. You can email him for future learning and guidance. He is very much there on social media, as well as he has his own YouTube channel. You can follow him as well. So that's all we have time for today. Thank you once again, Mr. Brahmakumar Balkashrin. And I would also like to thank our audience who joined us. If you have any additional question about information shared today, please email us, or you can connect to the speaker directly through his social media or other platforms. Thank you all for your support and liking our session. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session until next session.